Good evening and welcome to the Standing Committee meeting of the Durham District School Board of Monday, June the 5th, 2023. I'd like to call this meeting to order and begin with the land acknowledgement. The Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which our school board and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms a part of the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, the Mississauga peoples, and the treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live. Are there any declarations of interest? And seeing none, there are no declarations of interest this evening. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda? Trustee Cunningham, Trustee Brown, the agenda is approved as distributed. So we'll begin with item 5 on your agenda, to community presentations. The Durham District School Board welcomes presentations by individuals and groups at standing committee meetings, and tonight we have one presentation.
He's not online yet.
I cannot see the clock. Mr. Bahadur, are you there?
All right, he's moving in 5 seconds.
Thank you. Good evening. So we'll now move to item 5, community presentations. The Durham District School Board welcomes presentations by individuals and groups at standing committee meetings, and tonight we have one presentation. We ask presenters to limit the presentation to 5 minutes to allow time for questions. Should a presentation reach 5 minutes, the presenter will be notified by a staff member and will be requested to conclude the presentation. The board will not debate the topic of any presentation. I would like to remind the presenter that presentation should only include the material that was submitted for approval, and there will be only one speaker for the presentation. We welcome tonight Naveed Bahadur from Durham Parents United. Naveed, once you have finished your presentation, trustees will be permitted to ask questions of clarification. Please go ahead when you're ready to read your approved presentation. Go ahead, Naveed.
Good evening, can you guys see me?
I'm sorry?
Can you guys see me?
You may go ahead with your presentation.
No, I was asking if you guys can see me on the video.
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, I'm representing Durham Parents United. I was asked by members of the team to speak because unfortunately, the environment that we live in, many people are scared to speak on issues that concern the welfare and safety of their children. So today, I actually feel sick to my stomach that I feel oppressed actually. And I feel that all these parents here feel oppressed. Everybody here feels oppressed and silenced. And this is the diverse community of Durham that voted trustees in.
Excuse me, Mr. Bahadur.
Yes?
You are asked to bring forward the presentation that was approved for this evening.
Correct. My presentation topic was the silencing of parents and how that had a detrimental effect on their children, and wanting to make the Board of Trustees aware of this. So how am I off topic? I'm a bit confused. This is exactly what my presentation is on, silencing and the effects of that. I will continue.
Go ahead, sir.
This is for the trustees. For example, Christine Thatcher said, as your DDSB trustee, I will be that needed link between you and the school board. We don't see you as being that needed link right here. Haley Miller, I'll engage the parents and community agents. Shailene Pinello, I am an activist and advocate. My passion for anti-racism and anti-oppression. We are all oppressed. We are all silenced. I feel oppressed. What danger do I pose that I can't come into the meeting to present? There should be some dignity offered to someone.
Thank you, Mr. Bahadur. Your presentation will be concluded, as this is a new presentation and not the one that has been approved. Thank you very much.
My presentation is on silencing.
Stop that.
This is what my presentation is on. So I have
Item 6 on the agenda. Item 6A is Supervised Alternative Learning, SAL, and I'm going to call on Superintendent Stephen Nevels to make the introductions. Superintendent Nevels, when you're ready.
Thank you and good evening. I wanted to welcome this evening two presenters, Melissa Provost, our SAL facilitator, as well as Heather Hockle-Gray, who is a child and youth worker with our SAL program. The report for this evening's presentation can be found in your package on pages 1 to 7, and I will turn things over to Melissa to share the presentation.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us to present on supervised alternative learning and share some of the successes of our students. My name is Melissa Provo, and I'm the facilitator for supervised alternative learning, working alongside Heather Hockle-Gray, the SAL youth worker. Supervised alternative learning is commonly referred to by its acronym SAL. This target student is students 14 to 17 years of age who are experiencing difficulties in school and who would benefit from an alternative learning experience for a period of time. SAL is an essential part of the student success model for students with unique circumstances and is used after other in-class, in-school, and board interventions have been attempted. The focus of all SAL programs is on good outcomes for each student. To support the good outcomes for all students, SAL programs focus on 4 key areas: well-being, engagement, equity, and success. When students are referred to SAL, they are often struggling with attendance, well-being, academic progress, or all of these. Other students may be facing a crisis and require support for a short amount of time. SAL wraps students in a team of supports, building caring relationships with adults, using flexible monitoring schedules to address the needs of the students, and using targeted interventions to support ongoing success. Students' individualized SAL learning plans are approved by the SAL committee, and each learning plan outlines the personal and academic goals of each student. While students are enrolled in SAL, they may also access counseling supports either through community agencies or through the board, participate in workshops, or gain employability skills through programs like the Youth Job Connect. An essential reason why SAL works so well for so many students in the DDSB is the fact that we offer 3 distinct options for students under our SAL umbrella. Our most successful program is the school-based program that occurs within our area secondary schools. These school-based programs offer flexible, individualized programming within the building that the students are already attached to. They're able to keep up their relationships with their area school staff and their peers, and makes the transition back to mainstream schooling a lot smoother. 17 secondary schools in DDSB currently offer school-based SAL, and in semester 1, 78% of all SAL students access this program. For some students, an alternative location with more concentrated supports is recommended. These students may access the community-based learning program, also known as CBLP. Students are referred to the CBLP program through their attendance counselors and attend specialized classrooms within the Durham Alternative Secondary School at the Oshawa and Pickering locations. CBLP offers credit earning opportunities at the grade 9 and 10 level, as well as a learning strategies course to help them build skills. Students in CBLP may also choose to work with the SAL youth worker. When a student completes their goals at CBLP, they transition to their area schools to complete their grade 11 and grade 12 courses. Approximately 21% of SAL students in semester 1 of the school year access CBLP. CBLP has 48 seats available each semester and often runs with a wait list for programming. When we consider who these SAL students are, we see that the majority of the students are in grade 10s and 11s. We have the fewest grade 9s, as these students are just beginning their time in secondary school and are often supported well by their school teams at the elementary and secondary school level. Many of the students that access SAL in grade 12 and that are 17 years old are doing so to support their goals towards graduation or help them earn credits onto their next step, which could be DAS or Center for Success, to complete their diploma. To highlight the student and parent guardian voice, some of our current and past SAL and CBLP students agreed to share their stories with the board. I would just like to preface this part of the presentation that we had 4 videos prepared to share with the board this evening. However, we were having some audio difficulties. So I will share this presentation with all trustees so that you can view the 2 last presentations that I will not be reading the transcripts for. So when these students joined SAL, they were lacking some confidence, felt disengaged from their schools, and had a bit of a lack of hope for their future. As you listen to the words that I'm going to present to you from 2 current CBLP students, you'll hear how their connection to SAL has helped them find their identity, gain skills, experience success, and increase their overall well-being. So this is Miles, a current CBLP student at DAS Oshawa. And in his video, he mentions the following. Good evening. My name is Miles, and I'm a student at the Community-Based Learning Program in Oshawa. Before coming to CBLP, it wasn't easy for me to learn in a mainstream environment. I struggled to focus on my work and felt uncomfortable in school. If I wasn't coming in late, I wasn't coming into class. I only earned 2 credits in 2.5 years of high school. One of my biggest fears in high school was that students would find out my birth name. It was frustrating that several teachers continued to use the wrong pronoun despite daily reminders. When I came to CBLP in February 2023, it was a fresh start. The initial transition was a little scary, being in a different building with different staff and students I didn't know. Within a week, I felt included and comfortable. Being able to focus and learn became a lot easier, and I started to earn my credits. My goal is to earn 6 credits by the end of the school year, and I'm on track to do so. I attend the CBLP classroom every day and on time. CBLP has taught me many life and social skills, for example, stress management techniques, cooking, working in groups, walking in the community, and other hands-on in-class activities. I'm thankful for the support and encouragement I get from the staff and from Heather. I am more confident in myself, and I'm proud of all the progress I've made. I'm so thankful that this program has been flexible and I'm using all my academic and has met all my academic and mental health needs. And the last one I want to share this evening was from Yolanda. She was a semester 1 CBLP student at DAS Pickering. Hi, I'm Yolanda. I'm currently a full-time student at Durham Alternative Secondary School. My goal is to graduate next year. I'm going to go back a little bit and fill you in on how I got to DAS. At my home school, I was struggling a lot with attendance, and my anxiety was at an all-time high. I was trying my best, but nothing seemed to work. My school social worker then referred me to SAL, and I started attending the Community-Based Learning Program in Pickering in October of 2021. At first, it was even hard for me to walk into the class, and shortly after the school closed because of COVID and I had to work online. When schools were able to welcome students back in the building, I continued to struggle with my attendance, and then I was given a reduced schedule. This schedule supported my mental health, helped me create new habits of attendance, and encouraged re-engagement with the school. I started attending 2 days a week in class and 2 days online, and by September 2022, I was attending the 5 days a week, which was a huge progress for me. By me reading this, I'm not doing her justice in how excited she was at this part of speaking. I worked with Heather throughout my time at CBLP, and she supported me in every area of my life, inside and outside of school. She was always available to me and helped me navigate through many community referrals. She gave me the support I needed to regain confidence in myself and my academic ability. CBLP and DAS has shown me patience and compassion, and now I look forward to furthering my education. I currently live independently, pay my own bills, and look after myself. I feel like my life has been totally turned around. I'm in a much better place now. I've earned 14.5 credits since starting an alternative education, and I'm thankful for this opportunity. I'm not sure where I'd be without it. What I've learned along the way continues to support me in reaching my personal goals, and I couldn't be more grateful. So when you get the presentation, I hope you take the opportunity to listen to Abby, who's graduating from DAS Pickering this year, and then some parent voice from Jason, who is a parent of a student at CBLP Oshawa. So when a student leaves SAL, the majority of them use their new skills and self-awareness to return to their area schools and continue their pathway to graduation. Some students move on to new experiences at DAS or for Center for Success. 42% of SAL students that were in SAL programs in semester 1 requested a renewal from the SAL committee and continued their programs into semester 2. Regardless of their pathway, all students report that SAL has prepared them to approach their future with confidence. SAL programs find ways to best support some of our most vulnerable students. There are currently 254 active SAL students in DDSB. SAL programs will continue to be available to support student well-being and academic progress as needed. A heartfelt thank you to our team of professionals who support our SAL programs. We are thrilled to be part of SAL and are excited for all the possibilities for future success. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
Are there any questions? Trustee Morton?
Thank you, and through you. Firstly, I'm going to ask that you introduce the two people who are with you this evening.
Sure. So Heather Hockel-Gray is the cell youth worker, and Monique Mueller is our system lead.
Thank you. And I do have a comment. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for providing us with this report. And I'm looking at your conclusion, and I just want to reiterate this. During the 2022-23 school year, students in the SAL program grew their confidence, improved their well-being, formed connections with the community, and I should say with their teachers and staff as well, and they set goals for their future success. This is an amazing program, and I thoroughly have enjoyed working with SAL for a number of years. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Morton. Trustee Edwards?
Thank you. Excuse me, thank you. And I couldn't agree more with Trustee Morton about the value of this program. I just wanted to ask a question. I know the answer, but I just want to ask the question, because under financial implications on there, it says that the SAL program is funded through the Grants for Students' Needs for a total budget of $18,000. I could honestly say that we probably supplement that program more than that. Just a question about the funding sources for the SAL program. Thanks.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. So the $18,000 represents the discretionary budget for SAL, so that covers school excursions, school supplies, as well as transportation for some students, as well as food at the program. That does not include the staffing for the program. So there's 3 full-time CBLP classes, as well as we have SAL classrooms, as Melissa said, at 17 of our high schools. So that staffing component is covered within the school staffing.
Supplemental?
Thank you, and I appreciate that. It's just a little bit of a misnomer when we see financial implications that there should be plus salaries of staff within because it is a valued program within our schools, and I just make people aware that it's much more than just the incidentals that we have. It's the valued work that our staff provides to make for the success of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Edwards. Any further comments or questions? And I'm seeing none. Thank you very much for your presentation this evening. Moving on to item 7 on your agenda, and I'll call on Director Camille Williams-Taylor for the Director's report.
Thank you, through you, Chair. June is a month where many significant events and dates are acknowledged, including National Indigenous History Month. This is a time to engage in learning about the diverse history and contributions of Indigenous peoples, or learning about the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, or UNDRIP, and the responsibilities that we all have in fulfilling the calls to action of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. Also on June 24th, it is National Indigenous People, June 21st, it is National Indigenous Peoples Day in Canada, as well as the summer solstice. June 21st recognizes and honors and celebrates Indigenous achievement, culture, and Indigenous magnificence. June 1st marked the beginning of Pride Month around the world. Pride is a time to demonstrate our commitment to making every person in the 2S LGBTQI community feel welcome, included, safe, and affirmed in their identities and lived experiences in every Durham District School Board school and every Durham District School Board workplace. The Durham Pride Festival that took place yesterday, we had a great turnout of DDSB trustees, staff, students, and families families participating in the parade in Ajax. By raising awareness, the Progress Pride flag at our schools and work sites, we are confirming the 2S LGBTQI students that they are seen and that they matter. Our recent GSA Youth Conference welcomed 119 students to the Education Center, where students networked with their peers and engaged in learning workshops that were tailored to their needs and interests. The commitment to properly and respectfully acknowledge and include 2S LGBTQI identities has been shared by Minister Lecce's recent memo to school boards with a message that the Ontario government sees them, values them, and are proud to stand with them. The Portuguese Heritage Month also takes place in June. Canada is home to over 500,000 Portuguese Canadians, one of the largest Portuguese diasporas in the world. We are grateful to those of Portuguese heritage for sharing their traditions and culture with our community. Filipino Heritage Month is recognized in June. The Canadian Filipino community is one of the fastest growing populations across the country. We appreciate the opportunity to be part of welcoming and preserving Filipino heritage and celebrating the positive impact of Filipino Canadians. Recognition of Italian Heritage Month also takes place in June and is a time to celebrate the rich history of generations of Italians in Canada and to appreciate their contributions shaping the culture of our communities. On May 25th, the Cypher Black Male Empowerment Conference took place at Durham College. This year, the conference was hosted by keynote speaker Matthew Samuels, known professionally as Boy Wanda, in Pickering High School alumnus and Grammy Award-winning music producer. Students engaged in networking opportunities with community agencies, followed by workshops facilitated by Black male professionals in the industry. Students were exposed to a wide variety and wide range of pathways beyond high school and post-secondary education and were inspired and encouraged to unapologetically live up to their own potential and brilliance. National Accessibility Week took place from May 28th to June 3rd. As an organization, the Durham District School Board embraces inclusion and accessibility for people with diverse abilities. DDSB schools and staff continue to make positive changes to increase accessibility and inclusion and to be supportive of individual autonomy and uniqueness. Our commitment to inclusive design and challenging ableist stereotypes and assumptions helps students and staff address accessibility barriers in their everyday lives. As you can see, this is an incredibly busy time of year, but a time that also reflects our commitment to our students and our diverse communities. Thank you, Chair, and that is my update for this evening.
Thank you, Director. Are there any questions or comments at all? And I'm seeing none. So moving on, we have no recommended actions this evening. So I'll be moving on to item 9 on the agenda, information items. And I'm going to call on Superintendent Heather Mundy for the Workforce Census 2022 and Employee Experience. Superintendent Mundy.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. The two reports, the Workforce Census and the Employee Experience, can be found in your agenda package starting on page 8. The two reports have been combined into a single presentation to highlight key information that helps us understand who our employees are and their experience. I am pleased to welcome our presenters this evening, Chris Connolly, Manager, Research and Assessment, Lisa Coppin, Senior Manager, People and Culture, Arlene Walks, Manager from Recruitment and Supply Support Services, and we also have Gloria Lung, Research Analyst, here as well tonight. You can go to the next.
You just turn on your mic.
Yeah, they're just going to flip to the next slide for me. There we go. And And thank you. The presentation will begin with sharing highlights from the 2022 workforce census. This is our second census, and the first one was completed in 2017-2018 school year. This data is important as we continue to center the experience of our students. We continue to work to diversify our workforce so that our students and families see themselves reflected in the staff that support them. We also want to measure the impact of the recruitment initiatives that have occurred since the last census.
Okay, good evening. So I'd like to start off with some of the specific actions since 2018, which include the Equitable Recruitment Framework Policy and Procedure was launched during the years of 2017-18. It was the first document written to address each step in the recruitment process. Prior to 2017, there was no DDSB policy or procedure for equitable hiring in place. This policy and procedure is used for all competitions and hiring within the board, and that's all levels of employee hiring. In 2021, the ministry changed the way boards hire teachers through the introduction of PPM 165. Recruitment consulted with a number of stakeholder groups to gather input to support the creation of guidelines as part of the implementation of PPM 165. Our equitable recruitment policy and procedure provided the foundation for the teacher guidelines. Both guidelines emphasize that applicants will experience a recruitment process that's accessible, fair, consistent, and transparent, regardless of the position that is sought within the board. In April 2018, we held the first information night for Black educators to support the Compendium for Action for Black Student Success. This not only opened the doors and avenues and opportunities within the board, but also it was a way to create trust with the Black educators within the board. It was feedback that we heard from the community about our process, so we wanted to address it by opening up our doors and having those open conversations. It took the changing of process and events such as this to show our commitment to be an inclusive board. Our recruitment team partners with external vendors and conducts outreach advertising to various diverse communities, and we utilize multiple methods of attractions for positions to increase our reach to candidates. And then lastly, we are working to revise our bias-aware interview training that is mandatory to principals and VPs. Currently, the course is offered online, but we're moving back to an in-person offering. We believe there's a richer conversation on the topic, and we will also include discussion of the Big Three policies, as well as we're looking to extend the opportunities to training to make it mandatory for managers and supervisors as well that are part of the recruitment process.
Before we take a look at this graph, a quick note about the context of the workforce census. In this second administration of the workforce census, we had a participation rate of 30%. Although this is a decline in participation rate from 2018 and 19, which had a 49% participation rate, over those 4 years between the two administrations, we experienced a growth of over 4,000 staff members who were eligible to participate in 21-22. The staff group with the largest growth were our contract and occasional employees. If you take a look at the graph, we see the change over time in the racialized identities represented in our community through the Region of Durham's analysis of Stats Canada census data, and in our workforce census can be seen here. Pink and light purple on the top line shows an increase in racialized identities by 9 percentage points from the 2016 Stats Canada census to the most recent 2021. Over a similar time frame, racialized identities as reflected in our DDSB workforce census has grown 11 percentage points. It's worth noting that when considering these comparisons, changes can occur in our communities much more quickly than changes in the DDSB workforce, which are constrained to attrition and new opportunities. Here we have an infographic that has been prepared to highlight some of the identity data that the staff shared with us through the census. This infographic is included in Appendix B of your report. To address the questions that emerge from this kind of presentation of data, a more detailed and comprehensive summary of results has been included in Appendix C. of your report. This Appendix C includes summaries for both the first and the second administration of the workforce census, and is presented both visually as a series of bar plots as well as numerically as a series of tables. Building on the summary table at the bottom of the infographic, a supplemental analysis has been included in Appendix D to explore how staff experience equity and inclusivity in the workplace with respect to their different identities. As noted on the infographic, we recognize that we are not defined by single identities, and while this report presents the data that is being collected for each question, we're continuing to engage in intersectional analyses to support our staff.
So moving on to our employee experience. The Employee Experience Report provides information about the work we've been conducting in the last 3 years to understand the employee experience at the DDSB, as well as why we focused on the listening tour for 2022. When we talk about the employee experience, we're also talking about how engaged our employees are, how connected they feel to the work, whether we have a culture where employees feel valued, involved, understood, and whether employees find meaning and feel recognized in the work that they do. Through the listening tour, many positive themes came forward related to employee engagement, and more specifically, we heard about a strong sense of care and compassion for the work and towards students. We also heard about support for our focus on Indigenous rights and human rights and the importance of this work. We heard about the support that employees receive from their colleagues, as well as the impact employees see and feel when they have strong leaders to work with. There was also hope or cautious optimism that we are headed in the right direction when it comes to trust and the culture that we are building. These strengths, they all help to build a foundation, one that anchors us, and then one that we can draw from while we face challenges in the work that we do. These strengths also help us as we address some of the barriers that are impacting the overall employee experience. In terms of areas for opportunity, our employees were honest with us. They told us that we could do better when it comes to accountability and follow-through, such as sharing information following a situation, being transparent to those who were involved. They told us that they feel resources are not always allocated as they should, and more needs to be done to ensure equitable and appropriate resources are provided. They told us their concern with workloads that they're faced with currently, coupled with the fact that our ability to provide professional development has been limited in the past few years. And they identified a gap in connection between central staff and those that work at the school level. These are all areas that we take very seriously. We understand the importance of the employee experience, how leaders, system structures, and resources all impact how we feel, how we work, and how each of these, if not done well, can become a barrier to an employee feeling truly engaged and connected to the work that they do. We have some strong foundations, though, as mentioned a moment ago. We'll continue to listen to the voices of our employees, and this will continue to be part of our journey. Not all change or impact can happen or will happen overnight. Just as you heard with our workforce census, changes such as these take time. They need to be done with meaning, with the right intentions, and with the overall employee experience and our students in mind.
And as we move forward, some of the things that we're looking to build and next steps to diversifying our workforce, comes to as Durham is one of the largest the board, Durham board, is one of the largest employers that we work, that is in Durham region, and we're working on branding the DDSB as an employer of choice. Because as the market gets more competitive, we want to make sure that we have that exposure to all candidates, and we continue to diversify and explore our opportunities. When we look at some of the opportunities that we have, we want to make sure that it is known to a diverse candidate set, and we're going to look at how do we brand it as not just for teachers or just for education, but for all different employee cohorts that we have. We're also bringing back our Employee Information Night. It's an event that we used to have back in 2017-16 that we have very good response from our supply and occasional staff. This event provides employees information and networking opportunities that they may not normally engage in. It helps foster a sense of belonging. Since the nature of their roles, they do not have a home school to go to. So this way it brings them into the board office. They get to a lot of the resources, information, and network with their peers as well as principals, SOs, and other employees at the board.
And so Arlene just spoke about a couple of ways that we can focus on some immediate next steps and some plans that are already in place. And it's one thing to recruit and onboard our employees and create that sense of belonging, but we also need to continue to focus on their experience as an employee as well. From the information obtained during the listening tour, we know that some of our next steps need to be a focus on leaders and providing them with the training, resources, and support to guide their teams, because research tells us that leaders have a significant impact on the overall employee experience. We need to find more opportunities to collaborate with one another across schools or departments to find connection and a better understanding of the role we all play in serving our students. We need to intentionally immerse ourselves in the work outside of our own work, whether it's a central staff being out in the schools where the learning happens, or school-based staff learning and understanding the work that central staff do to support the system. When we do so, it should become more clear that we all have a common goal, a shared sense of purpose, with the student at the center.
Thank you. And just for the last slide, we treat employees like they make a difference, and they will. And we know when our employees make a difference, it benefits our students. Thank you.
Are there any comments and questions for the team this evening? Trustee Morton.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Regarding this last comment, everybody makes a difference. Everyone contributes. I'm really appreciative of this whole report, but Section 3, considerations moving forward, is especially important to me. The key findings and observations, leadership practices that contribute to a thriving culture, and suggestions for improvement from staff. I really like them. Two things are jumping out at me: culture and collaboration. Both very important. Thank you for the work that you've done on this.
Thank you, Trustee Morton. I'm seeing no further requests for comments or questions, so I'd like to add a little bit to that, just by thanking Superintendent Heather Mundy this evening and her team. Thank you very much for the presentation. Moving on to item 9B, and that will be our student trustee report from Ben Cameron, Lauren Edwards, and Gwen Hewitt. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, good evening. From May 18th to 21st, Ben, Lauren, Neha, and I were fortunate to attend OSTA ACO's annual general meeting. We elected the OSTA's 2023 to 24 executive team, reviewed the organization's work from the term, participated in a variety of skills and professional development workshops, and had extensive conversation with incoming student trustees to prepare them for the year ahead.
Thank you. At OSTA's AGM, I was honored to win the award of Best at Robert's Rules. More importantly, though, I was elected to OSTA's Executive Council as chair of the Indigenous Student Trustees Council, where I hope to lead a group of wonderful Indigenous student trustees in our advocacy and engagement goals next year. And as the inaugural holder of this position, I'm very excited for what the year will bring and all the work our Executive Council will do. To the best of my knowledge, I am one of 2 student trustees who is Indigenous, who does not fill the Indigenous student trustee position. I'm the outlier, and I think that that emphasizes the importance of the role of Indigenous student trustee, and I hope that by the end of my term, my next term, this board will have an Indigenous student trustee elected to it.
Thank you. We are also lucky enough to attend and be a part of the Student Recognition Night that happened here last Monday, and which many of you were also at. It was a wonderful evening where we were able to recognize and celebrate the many achievements of high school students all across the DDSB. We are so grateful we had the opportunity to present these awards to some of the incredible students within our schools. Congratulations to everyone who received an award for their hard work and dedication. Tomorrow, on June 6th, we'll be holding our last Student Senate meeting of the term. We'll be reviewing our work for the term, discussing Senate successes and comparing these to future next steps, and discussing and polishing the renewed Senate Constitution that we've been working on. The meeting will end with an award ceremony to reward the time and dedication all of our senators have put into this work. We'd like to deeply thank each and every senator who participated and supported the positive change us students have worked towards in the DDSB. We are so proud of all of them and their hard work they've done in the past year.
And finally, Lauren and I would like to personally thank trustees, senior team, and staff who have made our experience as student trustees so welcoming and enjoyable. We've faced a lot of challenges together, but I really feel that we've all grown together. I feel like I've really grown as a person working with each of you, so thank you for giving me this opportunity to for Lauren and I to leave our mark on the DDSB.
I would also like to extend my thanks to staff, trustees, and everyone who made this year possible. There's been ups and downs, and it has truly been a pleasure to serve students, and I'm excited to continue doing so next year. As this is our last report, we would like to provide some recommendations for the board and staff on how to empower student trustees going forward and making sure that they have all the tools that they need to thrive. Number 1, that student trustees are given a standardized orientation prior to their first board meeting that covers the scope of their role, rights, and responsibilities under the Board Bylaws and Education Act. 2, that incoming student trustees are introduced to all superintendents and trustees. 3, that this board establish a trustee advisor to assist the student trustees and move motions on their behalf. 4, that the role and responsibilities of the student trustees, superintendent, and staff advisors be clearly outlined and defined. 5, that the student trustees should always be free to speak independently on all matters in front of the board. 6, that a clear process to refer student concerns that are operational in nature to appropriate staff members is developed. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we just want to thank you all for your support over the past year. We are so grateful to have been given this opportunity. Yeah, thank you.
And Chair, that concludes Lauren and I's last student trustee report ever. So though you'll be hearing many more from Ben, thank you.
Are there any comments for our student trustees who are leaving? We'd just like to wish you well in your future endeavors. We've been very pleased to have you as part of our team and the contributions that you have made. I think we also have someone else who would like to say a few words. Go ahead, Trustee Cunningham.
Thank you. I want to say that one of the things that I get the most emails about is someone saying an issue that came up in the board and how well respected and well regarded our student trustees are, and how impressed people have been by you over the past year. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it does hit my inbox quite frequently, how impressed the public has been with the way that you served both the students but also the communities around them. So thank you so much for everything that you've done. We're glad to have been back, and Lauren and Gwen, you will be very missed.
Very much so. And on that happy note, thank you so much for your report. Moving on to item 9C, and I'm going to call on Associate Director David Wright for the report around improving environmental sustainability and planning.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. This environmental sustainability report is being brought to you this evening as an opening response to concerns brought forward by student trustees. We appreciate the opportunity to bring a bit of insight into the past and present measures undertaken to showcase that DDSB is a positive steward of the environment, as well as some of the actions we plan to take over the coming year that will set DDSB up for continued growth in this area. And with that, I would like to welcome and introduce Head of Facility Services, Lisa Bianca, who is joining us this evening to present this report.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. Well, the need to address climate change is never more apparent than on a day like today. Heat warnings, air quality warnings, poor air quality, reduced visibility all signal to us that we must work towards a more climate resilient future. Canada, like many other nations, has legislated a commitment to reduce carbon emissions and achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. The Durham District School Board, as an organization, is committed to developing and implementing policies and programs to contribute to the transition to a more climate resilient future, both within the organization and in the broader community through education and engagement. DDSB also recognizes that environmental change and instability have a disproportionate effect on Indigenous communities and other communities based on the Ontario Human Rights Code, protected grounds and intersecting grounds, as well as socioeconomic status. Efforts to promote environmental sustainability align with our key commitments and responsibilities under DDSB's Indigenous education policy and the human rights, anti-discrimination, and anti-racism policy and the related procedures to prevent and address discriminatory impacts on communities. So the DDSB has been committed to responsible energy consumption for many years now. In fact, in 2017, DDSB was recognized as the top energy performing school board in the entire province of Ontario, out of all 72 boards. However, as the climate has changed, even over that short period of time, it continues to warm, so do our energy consumption requirements. And although we use building automation and other systems extensively to use the energy as smartly and efficiently as possible, we still need to do more. In order for DDSB to continue to advance our sustainability goals, a needs assessment and scoping exercise of the district's operations and activities must be undertaken. The magnitude of change still to be implemented across the entire systems needs to be quantified, and new goals and pathways mapped so that we know how to improve our environmental sustainability and identify the most effective ways to reduce our carbon footprint. Some of the key areas that we need to address, and this list I'm sure will grow as we get into this project, but key areas we've identified. Number one, social change. It's through education and understanding that we can start to make some of these changes. Changes in behavior, changes in habits, changes of things that we have done repetitively for a long time. That's our opportunity to make those changes. We need to make environmentally responsible choices in purchasing and procurement. Key among these is to eliminate single-use plastics and packaging. We need to reduce waste and divert it from landfills by utilizing recycling technologies, action all recycling streams, and choose vendors that do that. We need to implement paperless processes in corporate and academic areas. I noticed there was a recent article, I guess it came through our media feed. One of the Ontario school boards has actually put a dollar value on that in their budget this year. So interesting. Helps the environment, but also will help with budgetary items. We need to consider the cost, financial and environmental, of technology e-waste. We need to look at life cycle disposal impacts when we're making decisions about these things. We need to reduce energy demand and consumption in all buildings, replacing existing infrastructure with more efficient alternatives. This is a like-for-like but better solution. Right now, our capital funding allows us to replace what we have. We need to replace it with something that's better and more efficient. A step beyond that will be to employ renewable energy sources. As new funding models and sources emerge, we need to be able to convert and build using new renewable energy sources like geothermal and solar that are currently out of our reach. We need to build smarter buildings, and we need to build smarter. So we need to trigger changes to harmful manufacturing by the items that we choose to put into our buildings, but we also have an opportunity to use AI and other emerging smart technologies to take that next step beyond our building automation. Let buildings teach themselves how to be more efficient. So there is a significant financial cost to this work. Everything from perhaps a greater expense for a more environmentally effective choice, but we are also able to capitalize on renovations and modernizations that we were doing as a matter of course to do a little bit better. As the country and the province move towards net zero carbon emissions, it's hoped that dedicated funding, the funding that we need, will become available so that we can incorporate some of these newer and more extensive technological changes. Over the next year, staff will engage in reviewing and analyzing all aspects of operations to create a short to mid-term plan that will result in meaningful and achievable reduction to our carbon footprint and to enhance environmental sustainability. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Are there any comments or questions for Lisa Bianca or for Associate Director David Wright? I see, I think Donna was first. Go ahead, Donna.
Thank you, and I appreciate the work that we have been doing and understand the reasons around our slight slip in ratings, because it is due to an environment and some of the changes that we've had to put in place to deal with particularly the heat issues during the summer, and the fact that we run programs for a lot longer within our schools before and after school and so forth. Just a question around, you did mention that as we have new builds that we try to take advantage of some of those. How supportive is the Ministry of Education when it comes to implementing some of these little bit more expensive technologies or materials into our facilities in order to support the green effect? How supportive are they when it comes to approving our capital funding and some of the additional things that we're looking at?
Thanks for the question, through you, Madam Chair. What we tried to get across in the report is the fact that our capital benchmarks are already tight, and that's using traditional construction technologies and methods. Unfortunately, the ministry is not at a point yet where they're supporting this fiscally. I think that they've signaled an interest in moving towards, and we're hoping that comes maybe at a minimum with a pilot project, maybe in the next round of capital priorities. But that might be too much of a dream. I'm not sure. The unfortunate reality is the one example that we were able to find relatively locally in the London area was a geothermal project, retrofit project taken on at a secondary school, and the retrofitted geothermal heating system was about a $15 million price tag. So it's probably 3+ times the cost that it would be of traditional heating and cooling. So they haven't come to the table yet. They need to support this work. There's a little bit of a momentum being started. Some of the conversations we've had around our tables, I think, is indicating that it's coming. We're just hopeful it comes sooner than later.
Thank you. Student Trustee Ben Cameron.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to express my gratitude to staff for this report that we've talked about a bunch in the past. I'm just wondering, the report talks about a roadmap, what that roadmap might look like, I know that there are the several points that are outlined in the report, but what the roadmap might look like, when we might be able to get it, yeah.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Really, we think it's important to do some analysis before we put a plan together, and so that's what we're going to spend the next few months doing, focusing on two pieces, really the broader environmental impact piece, eliminating single-use plastics as an example. We've got an exciting project going in some of our elementary schools that are putting gardens in. So there's sort of the general environmental piece. The reducing our carbon footprint is like a true piece that's going to take some research and some analytics. So and it's likely going to take some dedicated staff time as well. So we're going to try and put all those things together over the coming months. So as time allows, I can't really quantify what that looks like, but it's certainly something that will stay top of mind and will be a project we're actively working on. So safe to say within the next year we'll have a plan together, and we think it's important to make achievable goals. So that's what is going to require the time, but within the next year we'll have a report.
Thank you, Associate Director. Trustee Oldfield.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. So I'm just looking at the stats, and having gone from number 8 in 2020 down to number 16 in 2022, and I was looking at what seems like a comparable board like York Region, who's managed to sort of stay somewhere in the same area, and not that it's a competition. Because I'm sure there are some differences. But I guess my question is, are there conversations or consultation happening amongst boards in terms of, strategizing around, what are some good solutions, ideas, strategies for dealing with this, for a number of these different issues that you've highlighted that we should be looking at, but also in terms of course, trying to get the Ontario government on board to do what they should be doing and funding it so that we can meet these goals.
Great, thank you for your question, and through you, Madam Chair. Yes, there are a number of organizations through the OASBO umbrella. So there's an energy group, as well as some of the other procurement groups that talk about this together, share strategies. York Board is definitely one of the leaders. They have a significant number of engineers on staff, and they very generously share their expertise and their knowledge. A number of their staff have been seconded to ministry roles, so that has sort of helped carry the message at the ministry level as well. So yes, we do capitalize on those relationships and hope to do so in the future, because there certainly is, it's a very deep, complex topic, so whatever we can share and learn from each other is always most welcome. Okay.
Thank you. Before we move on, I'd like to just go back a little bit. I apologize to Trustee Panillo, as I didn't see your hand was up earlier, so I'm going to come back to you now. Trustee Panillo.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. I had put my hand up just around the student trustees' final report, just to share my gratitude for their advocacy and their voice. And so I did send them a note, but since we're here, I just wanted to really give them their flowers, so to speak, for the way that they lent their voice, their time, their knowledge and experience. Again, not just representing students, but also in ensuring that we remain rooted in the reason why we are here to do this work. And just wanted to wish them well in their future endeavors, and we look forward to working with Student Trustee Cameron once again. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Panillo. Moving on to item 9D, and I'll go back to Associate Director David Wright for the quarterly construction and major projects progress report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, it's once again a pleasure to invite Head of Facility Services, Lisa Bianca, to present this report.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. Well, I'm very pleased to share with you an update on construction and development activities over the last quarter. Facility Services continues to make good progress with a number of long-awaited capital priorities projects. The Beaverton-Thoris Central PS rebuild project and the unnamed North Oshawa PS build. Construction is progressing well as we enter the prime building season. Both builds are well underway, and we're looking forward to some good progress over the next few months. In the next few weeks, we will see construction activity on the Mary Street Community School site as the replacement addition and associated site works begin. And construction is also set to start at Vaughan Willard Public School for the two-room childcare expansion and the accompanying two-room classroom addition. Unnamed Pickering Creekwood is tender ready, pending completion of the site purchase. Currently, the site owner, the City of Pickering, is continuing to work with the Ministry of the Environment to achieve their record of site condition, which is necessary for the property to change ownership. ATP has been submitted to the Ministry of Education, but it's held until we can resolve all our site conditions and purchase. Unnamed North Oshawa Secondary School and the unnamed Pickering Seton PS are well along in design development and in the municipal approvals process as well, and are on track for their scheduled openings. The remaining childcare projects at Seneca Trail and Scott Central are proceeding to tender and tender award respectively once all approvals are in place. We've got a busy summer of renovation and upgrade projects planned for our major projects team. Just as an overview, 4 roof replacements, 5 cladding projects, 5 window replacements, many interior refreshes and upgrades to meet both curriculum requirements and create improved teaching spaces. All of that will be undertaken. Ventilation continues to be a strong focus with 7 projects underway or preparing to get underway. Although market increases continue to be challenging for us, staff are continuing to develop projects that utilize our funding to achieve our greatest impact and to further our strategic goals and key priorities. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Any questions or comments? And I'm seeing none. Thank you very much, Lisa Bianca and Associate Director Wright. So moving on to item 9E, and I'm going to call on Superintendent Andrea McCauley for the 2023-24 Inclusive Student Services Special Education Plan.
Good evening, and through you, Chair. The draft DDSB Special Education Plan and the accompanying report can be found starting on page 155 of tonight's agenda. The plan is revised annually, exceeding the current ministry requirements for a biannual update. We do so for transparency both to the budget process, but mainly to the service model for our students and their families. For 23-24, the title of the document has been revised to the Inclusive Student Services Special Education Plan. This revised title more accurately reflects the scope of programs and services which support student well-being, mental health, and learning, while maintaining the ease of accessing the document for those searching under the title of Special Education Plan. Consultation with the Special Education Advisory Committee and in-between departments has informed language revision, which include as examples, update to the accessibility standard, scope of inclusion of district commitments in response to the recommendations of the Ontario Human Rights Commission Right to Read Inquiry Report, and SEAC sections of the plan. Consultation on the plan, which is posted publicly on the board's website, is welcomed throughout the school year. The draft Inclusive Student Services Special Education Plan for the upcoming school year is shared with trustees this evening for information and feedback. The plan will be finalized following this meeting and will be before trustees with a recommendation for approval during the adjourned board meeting. Thank you, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Superintendent McCauley. Are there any questions or comments? Chair Edwards.
Thank you very much for this comprehensive report, and appreciate the title changes and moving the language forward around our students. Just a comment when just happened to be reviewing sort of the revised Bill 98, but also sort of looking at the K-12 Education Standards Committee. One of the things they talked about is clear, transparent processes around for parents around appeal processes and so forth. And although they are somewhat, they are in the document, what I'm missing is the links to those applications, the links to the documents, the links to, so that way it becomes all in one. And I know that necessarily the digital document, the links are not accessible all the time, as far as depending on what the document is, but I think it's really crucial so that if a parent really needs to, they know that it's a one-stop place, that I know it's in that plan, the links are there. And I think that would be very beneficial to this document as an overall, and which I know you have done around the human rights and some of the acts, but not some of the documents that we actually provide. So it would be really beneficial. Thanks.
Thank you for that feedback and recommendation. We'll make those changes.
Thank you, Superintendent McCauley. The final information item then is item 9F, the OPSPA report. I'll go to Trustee Emma Cunningham.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I have no report at this time.
I'd like to draw your attention to the memo that's attached to item 10A, the 2023-26 Special Education Advisory Committee, the SEAC Parent Caregiver Survey. Trustee Edwards.
Thank you. And again, just ensuring that, how are we ensuring that parents are really getting access to the surveys so we get a better response rate? I mean, one of the reasons why SEAC stopped doing the surveys was because of the lack of response rate. So I'm just wondering what methods are we going to ensure that it's out there so that we can collect this information, valuable information. Thanks.
Thank you for the importance of the feedback from our families of students with special education programs and services. We did a direct email out to families both the week previous to the survey open. We are at the midpoint currently. And then did a direct mail out of the link, as well as our schools are picking up and re-forwarding social media messages. We will be monitoring a bit later this week in terms of the response rate, and then doing a secondary message. And we've also asked that our SEAC associations promote the survey through their organizations as well. I appreciate your comment around the refinement as well that the survey went through. A big key feedback information both to SEAC and then to us in the survey design was the time that it was taking families to engage in the survey. For many families requiring actual respite or child care in order to participate. So the survey itself, as you can see in the memo, is quite streamlined to district feedback on what's going well and what do we need to pay attention to and opportunities to improve. And that would be really the goals that we're drawing back. So monitoring the response rate and doing some echoed communication both from the district and SEAC associations in order to get that really valuable feedback, informing SEAC's work of parent engagement as well as our work as a district. So thank you.
Thank you. And Trustee Cunningham.
Thank you, and through your chair, apologies if I missed this, but when are we likely to see the results from the survey?
Thank you. So SEAC will be receiving very initial high-level feedback during our June meeting. So thanks to individuals like Chris, who is here this evening, we'll receive that. SEAC will then be diving into a more in-depth analysis through our September and October meetings, both in looking at the information and then creating the action plan. And then we would be bringing that back here to board to update both what we heard from families and what we're doing as a result of that.
Thank you, Superintendent Macaulay. As there is no further business, I will adjourn this meeting and ask that everyone remain in this area for the special education meeting to follow. Special board meeting to follow.
Good evening to the Durham District School Board's special board meeting of Monday, June the 5th. This meeting is called to order. As a settler and in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, I will give the land acknowledgement. The Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which our school boards and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms a part of the traditional and treaty territories of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, the Mississauga peoples, and the treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live. Are there any declarations of interest? Hearing none, there's no declarations of interest called at this time. Can I have an adoption of the motion to adopt the agenda as distributed? Trustee Morton, Trustee Linton, all those in favor? Opposed? The agenda is adopted as distributed. We're moving on to recommended actions. The first is the adoption of resolutions from the Committee of the Whole in camera. I'm Trustee Cunningham.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I move that the board now adopt the resolutions from the June 5th, 2023 in-camera standing committee meeting.
So Trustee Cunningham moves that. Can I have a seconder? Trustee Thatcher. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. We're moving on to item 5B, the Code of Conduct item. As for the Code of Conduct matter on the agenda, trustees will recall that the board made findings on February 6th of 2023, which were subsequently confirmed on March 6th by the Board of Trustees. That Trustee Stone committed a number of breaches of the operative Code of Conduct, and as a result of those findings, the board imposed several sanctions. Under those sanctions, Trustee Stone was censured, barred from the attending one board meeting, and then barred from committee meetings until December 31st, 2023. Regarding the third sanction, the board can review and consider amending the sanction to change the date so that Trustee Stone be barred from committee meetings until September 1st rather than the December 31st, 2023 previous date. Would any member like to put forward the motion? Trustee Cunningham.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I move that the board amend one of the sanctions imposed on Trustee Stone on March 6, 2023, to change the length of time that Trustee Stone be barred from committee meetings from December 31st, 2023 to September 1st, 2023.
Okay, we have Trustee Cunningham has moved it. Seconder, Trustee Thatcher. Any comments? Student Trustee Cameron.
Could I have a recorded vote, please?
Thank you, Student Trustee. We will have a recorded vote. Okay. At this point in time, I will ask Kathy Fitzpatrick, our recording secretary, to call the vote. Thank you.
Through you, Chair, I will now call the recorded vote. Trustee Arsenault?
In favor.
Trustee Brown? Trustee Cunningham?
In favor.
Trustee Linton?
In favor.
Trustee Miller?
In favor.
Trustee Morton?
In favor?
Trustee Oldfield?
In favor.
Trustee Panelo?
Abstain.
Trustee Thatcher?
In favor.
Trustee Thompson?
In favor.
Trustee Edwards?
In favor.
I'll now call the non-binding vote for the student trustees. Student trustee Cameron,
In favor.
student trustee Edwards,
In favor.
student trustee Hewitt,
In favor.
we have 10 trustees in favor, 3 student trustees in favor, and 1 trustee abstain.
That motion carries. Thank you. I will now pass the speaker to trustee Stone.
Thank you. I would like to announce that I have withdrawn my application for the judicial review with the Durham District School Board and will begin attending committee meetings as of September 1st. And I will once again continue, as I have in the past, to attend future professional development sessions, including DIE sessions, similar to the ones I have attended previously. As a member of the board, I have always taken DIE seriously, and I look forward to continuing to do so and to work with the board to ensure that all students and parents of the DDSB are treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve and are given all the support they require.
Thank you, trustee Stone. Since trustee Stone has withdrawn her application for judicial review, the findings of the breach of code conduct remain in place, as do the sanctions, except for the one sanction that has been reduced tonight, so that trustee Stone can re-engage on committees on the board as of September 1st, 2023. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the appointment of the voting delegate for OPSPA Annual General Meeting. The 2 directors are unable to attend the OPSPA General Meeting on June 8th to 10th. So they were the voting delegate and then the alternate voting delegate. So at this point in time, we need to appoint for our voting delegate from those trustees that are going to attend the OPSPA AGM. Just going to ask, is there anybody else besides myself that is going to the OPSPA AGM? Seeing none, I need somebody to move a motion if they wish to have me become the voting delegate for at the AGM. Thank you. Okay, we need the motion first. Okay.
I move that Chair Edwards would be our voting member.
For the OPSPA AGM.
For the OPSPA AGM.
Only, that's right. Thank you. And I have a seconder, please. Trustee Brown. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. That brings us to the end of the agenda. I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.